The teachings of Taoism set before us the goal of a long and healthy life, as well as the goal of immortality, and immortality here and now. In order to reach that goal of immortality through the ritual of the Ascension, we need to plan on and make preparations for a long, healthy life, just in case we need it. On a practical level, we need time and space to transmute our karma, pass our tests, make 2 million right decisions, and fulfill our divine plan, so we can go home to the octaves of light. The 18th century English author Samuel Johnson once wrote, "To preserve health is a moral and religious duty, for health is the basis of all social virtues. We can no longer be useful when not well." There is no doubt about it. We need to be strong in body, mind, and spirit in order to deal with the daily challenges of worlds in transition. We need to be morally, spiritually, and psychologically healthy so that God can use us to bear his light and to work his works on earth. For we would walk in the footsteps of our Lord, who said, "I must work the works of him that sent me." Are we not all sent by God, by Jesus Christ, by a certain guru, a certain ascended master, by our own I Am Presence? We are workers in the field of the Lord. Yes, that field that is the Tao. We are workers in that field, and we are sent. And that someone, that manifestation of God that sponsored us, expects a recompense, expects us to return a harvest. I must work the works of him that sent me. This was the Tao of Jesus. This was his calling, his dharma. He had no other choice. And when we know the Tao here at the point of the heart, we have no other choice but to work the works of him that sent me. Jesus said it in another way. Jesus said it in another way. He said, "My Father worketh hitherto, and I work." You can see him in the rhythm of the great Tao of the yin and the yang. My Father works, and I work. My Father works, and I work. The perpetual yin and the yang, participating in the out-breath, the in-breath of cosmos. It is an impelling force, and we know that the work is the other side of the word. It is the omega of the alpha. And we understand that those who have that sense of the work of the Lord have also internalized the word. And they are engaged with Lord Shiva in the great cosmic dance. And the very rhythm of the cosmos and the heartbeat of the Tao is part of them. Our Lord admonished us, "Work while ye have the light, for the darkness will come when no man can work." The De Dao Jing is a message of eternal well-being, lived in the here and now, through our embracing of the great Tao, the great causal body, and embodying it here below. Embodying the causal body and the I Am Presence, embodying the Holy Christ Self. I say to all of you, resist not this process. Remember, I began by saying there is pain and greater pain when you begin to rearrange the lines of mortality written in the unconscious and the subconscious. We must pursue the embodiment of our true self and not remain comfortable as mortals who use the Tao but refuse to become it. Like we milk cows, we milk the Tao. but we refuse to enter into the Tao. So let us look at the beginnings and the endings of our mortality and see what we can do to transcend ourselves in the here and now. The here and now is all that we have. Truly, it is our only possession, the here and the now, an increment of time and space of eternity. Let's see what we can do to transcend ourselves in these bodies of flesh and blood, and veins and arteries and systems within systems, draped on a skeletal frame, all intermeshed with sheaths of consciousness that make up our being in so many planes of awareness. So what are the statistics of the mortals and the immortals that walk our cities? In America, 78.5 years is the average lifespan for women, and 71.8 years is the average for men. People have serious health problems by the time they are 50, and many consider themselves old by 60. But millennia ago, people lived to 99 and beyond in good health. The question is, why aren't we? The Neijing, the classic Chinese treatise on internal medicine, answers this question and shares the secrets of how long ago people lived through the history of a century and more. The Neijing is also called the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. It is the oldest known book on medicine in existence. It is attributed to Huang Di, the Yellow Lord or the Yellow Emperor. Here is an illustration of Huang Di, published in the 15th century. What I see in this rendition is the presence of the Yellow Emperor. He is fastidious. He is the master of detail. He is active. He asks questions. He delivers answers. He even uses the Socratic method. He is very much in possession of himself and in command of the forces about him. This is the reading I take from a sketch done by someone who no doubt meditated upon him to produce this drawing. Contemplate that drawing and see how you can extract from him the very sense that he has of the great Tao. The Yellow Emperor was one of the most famous of China's legendary rulers. Genealogies of Chinese dynasties list him as the third of China's first 5 rulers. He is said to have reigned from 2696 BC to 2598 BC, almost 100 years, or 102. According to tradition, he was one of the founders of Taoism, as I said earlier. He is also credited with several great cultural achievements, such as the invention of writing, of money and of the compass, the introduction of mathematical calculations, and the organization of the calendar we use today. It is said that he ruled a golden age in which the Chinese lived virtuous lives by following his teachings. Most of the medical literature of China is built upon the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. Today it is still regarded as the standard in the field of Chinese medicine. It is written in the form of a dialogue between the Yellow Emperor and Qi Bo, his minister. I would like to read to you from the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine. In ancient times, when the Yellow Emperor was born, he was endowed with divine talents. While yet in early infancy, he could speak. While still very young, he was quick of apprehension and penetrating. When he was grown up, he was sincere and comprehending. When he became perfect, he ascended to heaven. The Yellow Emperor once addressed Qian Shi, the divinely inspired teacher. I have heard that in ancient times the people lived through the years to be over 100 years, and yet they remained active and did not become decrepit in their activities. But nowadays, people reach only half of that age and yet become decrepit and failing. Is it because the world changes from generation to generation? Or is it that mankind is becoming negligent of the laws of nature? Chi Ba answered, in ancient times, those people who understood the Tao, the way of self-cultivation, patterned themselves upon the yin and the yang, the two principles in nature, and they lived in harmony with the arts of divination. Since that word divination has a negative connotation, I would like to read to you its definition from Webster's. The verb to divine is to discover intuitively, to infer, to practice divination, to prophesy, to perceive intuitively. Divination is 1. The art or practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events, or discover hidden knowledge, usually by the interpretation of omens, or by the art of supernatural powers. 2. Unusual insight, intuitive perception. That they lived in harmony with the arts of divination means to me that they were in alignment with their I Am presence and the great Tao, and therefore could foresee the future and discover hidden knowledge. This is entirely possible to every one of you sitting here today. Continuing with Chi Ba's commentary on why ancient peoples lived to be over 100. There was temperance in eating and drinking. Their hours of rising and retiring were regular and not disorderly and wild. By these means, the ancients kept their bodies united with their souls, so as to fulfill their allotted span completely, measuring unto 100 years before they passed away. Nowadays, people are not like this. They use wine as beverage, and they adopt recklessness as usual behavior. They enter the chamber of love in an intoxicated condition. Their passions exhaust their vital forces. Their cravings dissipate their true essence. They do not know how to find contentment within themselves. They are not skilled in the control of their spirits. They devote all their attention to the amusement of their minds, thus cutting themselves off from the joys of long life. Their rising and retiring is without regularity. For these reasons, they reach only 1/2 of the 100 years, and then they degenerate. In the most ancient times, the teachings of the sages were followed by those beneath them. They said that weakness and noxious influences and injurious winds should be avoided at specific times. The sages were tranquilly content in nothingness, and the true vital force accompanied them always. Their vital original spirit was preserved within. Thus, how could illness come to them? They exercised restraint of their wills and reduced their desires. Their hearts were at peace and without any fear. Their bodies toiled and yet did not become weary. Their spirit followed in harmony and obedience. Everything was satisfactory to their wishes, and they could achieve whatever they wished. They felt happy under any condition. To them it did not matter whether a man held a high or a low position in life. These men can be called pure at heart. No kind of desire can tempt the eyes of those pure people, and their mind cannot be misled by excessiveness and evil. In such a society, no matter whether men are wise or foolish, virtuous or bad, they are without fear of anything. They are in harmony with Tao, the right way. Thus they could live more than 100 years and remain active without becoming decrepit, because their virtue was perfect and never imperiled. The emperor asked, when people grow old, then they cannot give birth to children. Is it because they have exhausted their strength in depravity, or is it because of natural fate? Chi Ba answered, when a girl is 7 years of age, the emanations of the kidneys become abundant. She begins to change her teeth, and her hair grows longer. When she reaches her 14th year, she begins to menstruate and is able to become pregnant, and the movement in the great thoroughfare pulse is strong. Menstruation comes at regular times, thus the girl is able to give birth to a child. When the girl reaches the age of 21, the emanations of the kidneys are regular. The last tooth has come out, and she is fully grown. When the woman reaches the age of 28, her muscles and bones are strong. Her hair has reached its full length, and her body is flourishing and fertile. When the woman reaches the age of 35, the pulse indicating the region of the sunlight deteriorates. Her face begins to wrinkle, and her hair begins to fall. When she reaches the age of 42, the pulse of the 3 regions of yang deteriorates in the upper part of the body. Her entire face is wrinkled, and her hair begins to turn white. When she reaches the age of 49, she can no longer become pregnant, and the circulation of the great thoroughfare pulse is decreased. Her menstruation is exhausted, and the gates of menstruation are no longer open. Her body deteriorates, and she is no longer able to bear children. When a boy is 8 years old, the emanations of his testes, kidneys, are fully developed. His hair grows longer, and he begins to change his teeth. When he is 16 years of age, the emanations of his testicles become abundant, and he begins to secrete semen. He has an abundance of semen which he seeks to dispel, and if at this point the male and the female element unite in harmony, a child can be conceived. At the age of 24, the emanations of his testicles are regular. His muscles and bones are firm and strong. The last tooth has grown, and he has reached his full height. At 32, his muscles and bones are flourishing, his flesh is healthy, and he is able-bodied and fertile. At the age of 40, the emanations of his testicles become smaller. He begins to lose his hair, and his teeth begin to decay. At 48, his masculine vigor is reduced or exhausted. Wrinkles appear on his face, and the hair on his temples turns white. At 56, the force of his liver deteriorates. His muscles can no longer function properly. His secretion of semen is exhausted. His vitality diminishes. His testicles, kidneys, deteriorate, and his physical strength reaches its end. At 64, he loses his teeth and his hair. Man's kidneys rule over the water, which receives and stores the secretion of the 5 viscera and of the 6 bowels. When the 5 viscera are filled abundantly, they are able to dispel secretion. But when at this stage the 5 viscera are dry, the muscles and bones decay, the generative secretions are exhausted, and therefore his hair at the temples turns white. His body grows heavy, his posture is no longer straight, and he is unable to produce offspring. Does any of this sound familiar? Even though these teachings go back 4,600 years, Chi Ba could be describing the average American today. For instance, I once met a man who really looked good for his age. He was an old man. I couldn't help asking him, "What's your secret for a long, happy life?" He said, "I smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day, drink a case of whiskey a week, eat fatty foods, and never exercise." "That's amazing," I said. "How old are you?" 26. Continuing with the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, the Emperor asked, "But there are men who, though already old in years, produce offspring. How is this possible?" Chi Ba answered, "Those are men whose natural limit of age is higher. The vigor of their pulse remains active, and there is a surplus of secretion of their testicles, kidneys. Yet if they have children, Their sons will not exceed their 64th year, and their daughters will not exceed their 49th year, because at that time the essence of heaven and earth will be exhausted. The emperor asked, "Those who follow Tao the right way and thus reach the age of about 100 years, can they beget children?" Chiba answered, "Those who follow Tao the right way can escape old age and keep their body in perfect condition. Although they are old in years, they are still able to produce offspring." This concept is not new to us. Abraham was 100 years old. Sarah was 90 or 91 when Isaac was born. After Sarah died at the age of 127 years, Abraham remarried and had 6 more sons. He died at age 175. Remember, this was after the flood of Noah, when God reduced the lifespans of people who had formerly lived to be 900 or 1,000 years. God had reduced the lifespan of all of us to 70, but by right living and right consciousness, people still lived to far a longer time than we do today. The book of Luke records that Elizabeth conceived a son in her old age, and that her husband, Zacharias, was an old man. We see that the people who loved God and obeyed his laws were blessed with children late in life. When a woman is able to bear children in her 40s or 50s, it is a sign of good health and that she has preserved her vital forces. Yet this is frowned upon and even ridiculed. Doctors advise women that having children over 40 carries with it risks to both the fetus and the mother. They say that after a woman is 40, her child faces a greater chance of having Down syndrome. The mother faces increased risks of obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and other problems that could harm the unborn child. Another side of the picture is that many women over 35 have a hard time conceiving children. In fact, infertility is a national epidemic in America. We too ought to ask, is it because the world changes from generation to generation? Or is it that mankind is becoming negligent of the laws of nature? I think it's both. Our constitutional strength declines from generation to generation because we and our forebears have become negligent of the laws of nature. As a consequence, many women can no longer conceive and bear children after 40. And our lifespans are not much more than a brief 70. Life in the 20th century has become complicated because our environments and our bodies have degenerated from what they were a century ago, even a generation ago. The overcultivation of the earth's soil, artificial fertilizers, pollutants, and the natural process of erosion have all caused our farmland to become dangerously mineral deficient. In addition, the modern food refining process takes essential minerals and vitamins out of our food. Because our food is not as rich in nutrients as it used to be, we are not always able to sustain ourselves wholly on diets of simple natural foods, as our ancestors were. Now our earth bodies and the earth itself are out of sync with the cosmic forces of nature, out of sync with the great Tao. In this out-of-alignment state, we turn to artificial alternatives. And we are at the mercy of causes that we and our civilization have set in motion as they come full circle to manifest as disease, old age, disintegration, and death. But as long as we continue to rebel against the laws of nature that govern our bodies, as long as we do not take control of our lives and our health, our lives and our health will be in the hands of Western medicine and science. In the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, Chiba says, "Those who have the true wisdom remain strong, while those who have no knowledge or wisdom grow old and feeble." We should meditate upon this concept because it shows us that illumination's golden flame and the activation of the crown chakra and the nourishment of the chakras by the Kundalini produces regeneration. Those who have the true wisdom, those who have the opening of the crown chakra, remain strong. Those who have no knowledge or wisdom, hence no open chakra, grow old and feeble because the organs of their bodies are not being nourished through the 7 centers and the raised Kundalini. Those who are stupid or stupefied and ignorant of self-knowledge and the laws of life do not exert themselves enough in the search for the right way, while those who are wise search beyond the natural limits. They search because they have the mental strength to search, because their bodies are healthy, and because the sacred fire is with them. Those who are stupid or stupefied, those who ignore the law, are so, not because they are apparently lazy. They appear to be lazy, but what they really are is weak. They have no life force in them, therefore they do not have the strength of the quest and the search, or even the strength to have the desire for the quest and the search. They are creatures of lower desires and their continual fulfillment. Those who search beyond the natural limits will retain good hearing and clear vision. Their bodies will remain light and strong. And although they grow old in years, they will remain able-bodied and flourishing. And those who are able-bodied can govern to great advantage. Why not search beyond the natural limits? Why not learn about the laws of nature and take responsibility for your own life and health? This concludes the portion of my lecture that I will deliver to you today. I would like us to seal this teaching in our hearts by singing to the great mother of the Tao itself, our beloved Kuan Yin.
Song number 424.
Wisdom flow, beauty grow, as the radiance To the world now is given.